The first thing you want to do is to push your fabric under the presser foot. Then grab your fringes and your ribbon, overlap them and make the ribbon go under the other side of the fringes. You do this so the edge of the ribbon will not be exposed and instead it will be covered up in your final product. So now you align up the fabric with the fringes and the ribbon and place it under the presser foot. It's important to make sure everything is lined up correctly once you put it under the presser foot because you want this to look good and you don't want to start off on the wrong path from the beginning. So this is how it should look in the beginning. You have your presser foot down and you have all your fabric aligned up correctly. Now depending on your sewing machine, it may be different for you, but on my sewing machine, I'm using the hand wheel to turn it and stitch it forward 3 times. Then I'm going to go backwards and stitch right back over that same exact spot again so that I can make the thread secure where it won't come out. Then from that point on, I'm just using my foot pedal to sew forward and I'm using my hands to make sure that all the fabric is lined up still correctly and even all the way throughout. As I said earlier, you are going to be constantly realigning your fabric to make sure they all stay lined up. Make sure all your fringes stay out of the way of the sewing machine so that they can all be facing the same direction. Although I'm not perfect at keeping the thread straight, one thing I like doing is using navy blue ribbon and black thread so that it's hard to see how messy my sewing is. And although this sewing machine does get the job done, I would advise for you to get a bigger, more sturdier sewing machine like Brothers, Singer. I hear a lot of folks get sewing machines from thrift stores and yard sales. Like, yes, I'm using this sewing machine right now, but it's hard to get it through thick fabrics. I struggle with it a lot because the thread be too tight, and that's because you can't even measure how tight your thread is. There's just a knob, you just turn it, there's no numbers, no anything, and it's very small. So I think it's nice for beginners and if you're trying to see if sewing could be for you. But if you know sewing's for you and you're going to be sewing for a long time and plan on sewing a long time in the future, then get you something that's actually going to last 5 years. Because I only had mine for like 6 months and I could say I probably sewed about at least 50 times on it. It broke on me. So I would not recommend getting one of these tiny ones. Get you one that's actually going to work for you instead of you working for it. Once you reach the end of the fabric, cut off your fringes and your ribbon. So you're just doing exactly like you did in step 1, where you tucked it under the fringes, sewed it, and then you're going to sew it backwards in order to secure the thread into the fabric. Then you pull it out and you cut off all the excess thread on it. So now this is where things get easy. You're going to do what you did in the beginning, except now you don't have to worry about aligning the fabric because you already did the first thread. You don't always need a top or a bottom row, but that's up to you and it's depending on the size of your fringes and the size of your ribbon. Don't forget to backstitch to secure your thread. And now you're just looking over everything to make sure you cut off all the loose threads. And this is how it looks. You'll be a pro in no time. Like this video if you learned something new. See you next time.